Are you looking to get into game streaming on YouTube or Twitch, or are you looking to do something with podcasting or audio work, your voiceovers, etc.? Well, you're going to need a decent microphone, and you're also probably going to need a mixer of some sort. Well, Fifine gives you that easy solution with this bundle we're going to be talking about today. It's their AmpliGame AM8 and also their SC3 mixer combined together for one actually really affordable package that kind of surprised me with what it actually can do. But before we get too deep into this video, I also want to make a couple of disclaimers. The first one is that we are recording this entire video off of the AM8, which we're reviewing today. So all the audio you're hearing is coming from this microphone unedited, other than the gain control here and also on the mixer. Everything else in post-production, unlike some of the other videos we do, I'm not going to be mixing it in post-production. So you're hearing the raw audio, you can be the judge of how it sounds, other than hearing from my thoughts as well. And I also wanted to give a shout out and thank Fifine for sending us not only the microphone, but the mixer and this bundle to review. They are not going to be watching this beforehand, so they're actually watching this video the minute you guys watch it when it's published, meaning that everything I'm saying in this video is based on my experiences with these products. So without further ado, I'm Alex, and you are now entering the Sypnotix. Transitioning over from a plug-and-play microphone to a dynamic XLR microphone setup may seem like a daunting task on the surface, but once everything is set up, it's actually pretty self-explanatory. Fifine makes it even easier by bundling both an XLR interface together with their AmpliGame AM8 microphone, that's a handful to say, for a combined price tag of only $100. This not only has an XLR plug, but it's also a USB-C plug-and-play microphone. The interfaces give you control over your audio in order to manipulate your recordings to be a bit closer to what you originally wanted. I can also be a fun tool that adds additional utility to a stream. I think Fifine does a fine job doing just that with this bundle. XLR interfaces don't really need to be that expensive to work. In fact, this one is rather basic. Made out of plastic, the mixer relies on its RGB lighting to add that whole aesthetic point factor to this look. You can toggle between 5 different RGB colors through a dedicated button on the panel. This bundle of the microphone and its interface are marketed towards gaming streamers, so RGB is a valued feature for many in that field. One awesome thing about this mixer is that it does have flexibility with how it can be used. Whether it be gaming streams or commentary over videos, the setup can be modified to benefit the host. A dedicated PC can be plugged into the interface as the output, while the computer that will be streaming can be pushed as the input source. You can have multiple things, so allocating resources can be beneficial to those who can afford it. There are 6 effect buttons and 4 volume faders that can be used to adjust and monitor different things. There's 1 volume slider for the microphone, then there's the line-in jack, then there's the headphone jack, and the line-out jack. If you're streaming live, this gives you the quick control to mute your microphone and then also to control the variables going on into your ear and also whatever's happening on your computers. This is quite basic, but a great starting point for anyone getting into the interface game. The sliders are smooth and offer just enough length from its max to minimum to make it feel like you're making a difference when adjusting. By not stretching out the slider length to be too long, Fifine is able to keep the desk from cluttering up, as the interface system is actually rather compact. Under the Fifine logo are monitoring lights for both the microphone and the headphone volumes. That's very simple stuff. It's a standard ordeal here, with green being a safe range that you want to keep your sliders hitting to avoid yellow and red. I don't really have any complaints, as it all just works properly without much need of a setup. The box starts to deviate from the norm when it comes to the effect buttons spread around the sliders. There's a dedicated change voice toggle that can digitally alter the output of your voice into one of 6 different types of filters. I personally find this to be strictly for entertainment uses and for gag purposes, basically, if you're doing a live stream or something like that. Fifine has also included an electric auto-tune button as well. There are 12 ranges of electric tones that can be toggled to set while talking through the microphone. I personally don't use these functions for my microphone and audio mixing needs, but maybe you will. Like the change voice feature, this isn't going to automatically turn you into Britney Spears, but in some ways, I do think it's beneficial to have these little tools incorporated onto this mixer for beginners. It then turns into kind of like a gateway into audio mixing once you dip your toes into the water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play some of the changeo voice. So
this is my voice changed with the man voice. It's kind of weird.
And then if we change it, this is the second one, which I believe is the female voice. Kind of weird. So
we'll keep going. This is another one. This is the robot voice. And then this is the monster voice, and I'm not really changing how I'm talking, it's just going
through it. And this is the baby voice, so I don't know any baby that sounds
like this. And this is the elder voice, as in senior citizen mode. Definitely don't notice any senior citizens with their deeper voice like this, but like I said, it's interesting. So let's turn that off.
All right, we'll turn that off right there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use the auto tuning. So this is the A, auto tuning with A. And then here is B. And then let me see. Sorry, this is B flat. Then this is B right here. And then we have to go over here at C. This is C. And then we're going to go D flat. So we have D flat here. I'm just going to just randomly talk through and you can see if you notice the difference. Here's D after D flat. Here's A flat. So my voice is in A flat. And then we got a G here. This is my voice in the G. And then G flat here. This is my voice in G flat. Then we have my voice in F. And then we, yeah. I can hear that there. It's auto tuning. And here we are at E followed by E flat. So you can hear how my voice is being modified by this mixer here. So those are the auto tuning for the electric auto tuning on this. You can toggle the 48-volt phantom power on to power a condenser microphone. The AM8 that comes bundled with the mixer is a dynamic microphone and does not need phantom power to work. And as such, I've actually had mine set to off as I've been actually using the AM8 with the mixer for a majority of my review period here. To round out buttons on the mixer, Fifine provides users with 4 customizable buttons to record and program sound recordings or sound effects. Once again, this is most beneficial during a live stream to, I guess, quickly access a pre-recorded bit or some sort of transition bumper. The interface has a toggle to switch between that condenser and dynamic mode, depending on which microphone recording type you choose to use. You also don't have to keep the AmpliGame AM8 microphone with the mixer if you don't want to. You can always use a different XLR microphone on this. Now, speaking of that microphone, the AmpliGame AM8 packaged in this bundle retails for about half the price of this set. With that price in mind, you get an XLR microphone that operates at a frequency response of 50 Hz to 16 kHz. For that retail price, I can't really complain much about the audio quality that it picks up. As a top-facing cardioid microphone, users speak into the top range of the microphone, and I was actually relatively impressed with the clarity and range that the AM8 captures without certain compromises you would expect from a budget microphone. I didn't seem to have any issues with the plosives, even though you can see I don't have a pop filter when I'm recording. The mid-range played back very controlled, while the highs were somewhat balanced and natural to how my voice sounds off mic. The bass picked up some of that warmth from that gravelly voice that I kind of have, and it didn't feel too heavy. I also found the AM8 to be rather directional in its approach. Yes, it is a cardioid pickup pattern, picks up right here, but it does a really good job of not picking up residual noises from my desk or my computer behind it. It isn't that sensitive to its direct surroundings, which is a good thing for voice recordings like this. In terms of editing, I found the recordings to be quite flexible to mix in post-production. However, for most buyers, they're likely to be using this microphone for live streaming purposes in combination with Fifine's XLR mixer that they package. That makes my next point a little bit of a head scratcher. The AM8 is both a USB plug-and-play microphone as well as an XLR dynamic mic. There's a USB-C port on the bottom of the mic that you can plug directly into a computing device to be recognized right away, like a PS5 too. You can plug this in and it should work. Next to that port is an XLR input that goes into the mixer. There's also a headphone jack for monitoring audio if you aren't plugged into a mixer. While the microphone does have RGB along the bottom base of the microphone, it took me a while to figure out why it just wasn't lighting up. And I learned after a while that the AM8 only lights up when you plug it into a power source through the USB-C port. If the microphone is only plugged into the mixer using XLR, both the RGB strip and that microphone light on the back will remain unpowered. You can still plug it in with the USB-C slot into a PC or some sort of outlet, even when the feed is pushing through XLR as its primary source. It's a little messy and kind of confusing, but once you understand what and why this is happening, you'll get used to it. Still, I would have really liked to see that microphone light up with only a single cable feeding out of the microphone through XLR. Also, the RGB on the microphone does not sync up to the XLR interface no matter what. They're completely separate from one another. If you are meticulous about the RGB syncing through your entire desktop, well, you're going to have to tinker a little bit with these two. Then on the front of the microphone are two standard knobs to adjust the gain and the headphone levels. The gain setting thresholds aren't too sensitive when rotating through 0 to 100. They're moderate steps up, unlike some other microphones where a slight movement will really shift the gain tremendously. It's not that here. Fifine does give buyers a metal stand that holds the AM8 from its side body. Due to the trajectory of the XLR cable on the bottom of the microphone, I wasn't able to kind of tilt the mic freely as far back as I wanted it to be. I also couldn't lock the angle down as the screws don't really keep the microphone locked into place after a certain positioning on the angle. This would be less of an issue if the microphone didn't record audio from the top, but that's where we're left at here. So once again, pardon the pun, but I think Fifine has done a fine job of packaging a perfect starter set for beginning streamers. The AM8 microphone provides surprisingly good value that outperformed my expectations. It delivers good quality voice work with very little actual work that needs to be done, and it's immensely beneficial to beginners who need to develop a schedule for their content consistently. Time is money, and having a great sounding microphone that doesn't need tending to is valuable. The mixer is rudimentary, but it can become an inexpensive gateway into the world of live audio mixing. Oftentimes, the leap into something new is the hardest barrier to enter. By bundling these two products together, I do think Fifine has a competitive offering for this retail price.